The teacher is always proud of achievers, while the parent never abandons losers. Welcome to another episode. We're done with the mirror of 1977. Now we're switching to another paper called Punch, and we have the 1979 edition, August 9th. Let's say, let me read the whole thing. Number 49, Saturday, July 28th to August 9, 1979. Only the truth, but comment is free. Price 50 pesos. This is it, the Punch. What I've read is there. It's all there. I'm covering the part that is torn, but I can leave it for you to see. Pardon me again. I couldn't control such things. I have no control over the spoilage of the papers. The caption is the PNP corrupt? PNP. I think it's People's National Party. Is the PNP corrupt? Why is this question asked? Because that was the party that Jerry John Rawlings toppled. And that was the second toppling of a government. I just explained. Let me go briefly that way. Maybe we can visit it again sometime to come. And so you can see the picture of Dr. Hillel Liman, who was heading the party, who was the president at the time. You can see his picture. So he was the president who was toppled. And who toppled him? It was Jerry John Rawlings. And this is the picture of Jerry John Rawlings. You can see how lean he was. Some said like a broomstick. You can see how thin he was. And this is Liman. So any psychologist can see that it was hunger that drove this man to topple this man. Simple. This man, Rawlings, was driven by hunger to topple this man. And in fact, in those days, somebody said it, an elder of mine said it. He said, this man who has come and seized power, when he's okay, when he's eating belly full, when he's eating to his full, he will change. And that was what happened. And so you can see the caption, is the PNP corrupt? The party wasn't really corrupt. No. I think there was infighting in. That one I will not deny. Anyway, let's read. Let's read on. Namshin. Assurance by military strongman, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, that the AFRC would offer the incoming government of the People's National Party every cooperation on condition that the party takes steps to purge itself because it is suspected that there are certain corrupt men behind the party. At first looked like a veiled threat. Careful analysis of the man who made the statement shows that here was a statement by a sincere man made in absolute good faith, full stop, out of his concern for facts that the current house cleaning exercise meant to lay the moral foundation for succeeding governments would continue. He was merely throwing a rejoinder. So Rawlings said Liman's government was corrupt and he was only coming to, clean the house and then return power to Liman. Did it ever happen? Okay, let's read on. He was merely throwing a rejoinder, yes. As a man who, together with an able team, sacrificed all they have to purify the sinking social fabric, he had every right to make the statement, period. Paragraph. The problem, however, is that opponents and enemies of the PNP seeking to sow seeds of discord and create confusion in the minds of people are misquoting harmless statement for political advantage. Okay. They are seeking to hide behind this sincere pronouncement to achieve through vilification and uh, scurrilous press attacks what they fail to achieve through the power of the ballot box. Okay, so this is talking about the paper is talking of about the opposing party, the party that didn't win the elections. Good. The question that arises immediately then is what is the full import of that penetrating statement? Does it mean that the PNP is really corrupt? Another question. You'll ask this question over and over and over and over and over. Nobody saw the party as being corrupt as such. So, let me repeat it. Uh, does it mean that the PNP is really corrupt? If the party were corrupt, analysis, sorry, if the party were corrupt, analysts argue whether Ghanaians have not made a mistake, then by voting massively for a party likely to be uh, contaminated by corrupt heavyweights or juggernauts. Juggernauts here is spelled Juggernauts, juggernauts. We continue. Did Ghanaians know the party was corrupt and yet foolishly voted for such a party? That's the question mark. People voted for Liman massively. I think about two-thirds of the electorate voted him. The writer's action doesn't mean that we, the people who voted him to power, didn't know that it was a corrupt party. Let's see. It's really corrupt. If the party were corrupt, analysts argue whether, okay, let me repeat. Analysts argue whether Ghanaians have not made a mistake, then by voting massively for a party likely to be contaminated by corrupt heavyweights and juggernauts. So people voted massively. You underline the word massively. Okay. Did Ghanaians know the party was corrupt and yet foolishly voted for such a party? Could the majority? Oh my God. Oh my God. We've gotten to a place that is torn again. I'm sorry. We have to skip it. It's not manageable. We can't manage to fix words there. But I think the import of the message is there for us to grasp. Okay, we have some stars here, some points here mentioned, and the first three or so points we can't read, but we will try to see if we can read the others. Okay, I think that's star 4 or so. Personalities in the party found to be tainted with corruption like those of other parties have already been disqualified from holding public office or standing for elections and have their cases pending before the review tribunal. All that this writer is saying that the party actually got rid of corrupt people, and they were even standing for were under tribunal, the judgment scrutiny of the tribunal. So that party, this NPNP party, had more or less gotten rid of corrupt people. I think that's the import of the statements. Uh-huh. Before the review tribunal. Remember that Rolling Stage they could twice. There was the June one, June 6th one, or June 4th, June 4th one, and then this party was replaced by the former government, Achampon Akufo's government. And so people were careful because after doing that, he was supposed to do house cleaning, and he has set up a tribunal to look into the affairs of people. And this party had gotten rid of all the corrupt people. Pardon me, almost all of the corrupt people. So why coup? Why coup? Why a coup d'etat? Okay. So you see, this is not from my mouth. This is from the paper. Okay. Those therefore found to be corrupt are those whom the law of the land have declared to be so. Full stop. Hearsay allegations would amount to jumping the gun. So nobody has, Rollins doesn't have the right to hearsay, to use hearsay, and then no, come on, stage a coup, to jump the gun. Okay, star 3, from where we read, it could be star 6 or so, then star 3, or let me say the next star. Besides, since all PMP heavyweights are subject to the law of the land like anyone else, the AFRC would take any action against such persons if there is evidence that they have committed any crimes. We are still at the same point. The AFRC had a right, or could have handpicked, could have selected people in the party who were corrupt to discipline them, and not to come and sweep away the whole government. All right. That they have committed any crimes. Yes, okay, let's go. If Dr. Hillel Iman ought to do any purging at all, it would have to be a nationwide operation, not restricted to one section or party interest, because he is now president first before any party leader second, and must be seen to be continuing the house cleaning. Fine. Before continuing with the house cleaning, before to be seen to be let me repeat, to be seen to be continuing the house cleaning exercise in a broad spectrum. Okay, next time. Even if PNP has to do any purging at all, with what does it do it? Okay, Dr. Liman can only carry out any purging that is for sake of argument if only he has been given the executive power of office. Those who have doubts have to wait for Dr. Liman to form his cabinet at the appropriate time, for he cannot stop Ghanaians from being party members. All this is telling us that the coup was not justified. Period. The coup d'etat of 1979 against Sule Imoro was not justified by Rawlings. And that's why they have put uh, the two pictures together. Hmm? Uh, Rawlings' picture and Hillary Mann's picture. Hmm? And that's why I said hungry man toppling a well-fed man. Hmm? Uh, for the for it cannot stop Ghanaians from being party members. Paragraph. Under the circumstances, it is argued that the new constitution defines clearly who is corrupt and goes to add that a person against whom adverse findings have been made could be could be absolute could be absolved after 10 years. Could be absolved. Let me take that again. Under the circumstances, it is argued that the new constitution defines clearly who is corrupt and goes to add that a person against whom adverse findings have been made would be absolved after 10 years. So this constitutional rule, this is what was stated there by a constitutional government. Hmm? Okay, after 10 years, could be voted after 10 years. Shows after then they put a full stop there. I don't know. Hmm? Okay, let me ignore the full stop. Have been made could be absolved after 10 years shows clearly that PMP is not corrupt. PMP was not corrupt. You can see the arguments that the PNP is not corrupt. If there are some already corrupt members of the party, they are on the corridors and and sidelines. They are on the corridors and sidelines, and supporters like a football team. If there are some already corrupt members of the party, they are on the corridors and sidelines as spectators and supporters like a football team. So even if there were corrupt people around the party, they had no power. The party was aware of it, and Ghanaians were aware of corrupt people. And therefore, even if they were there, they had no power. So why the coup? That's the second coup. The first one was a coup against a military government to usher in a constitutional government. Then when constitutional government comes, suddenly again, Rawlings comes over and puts the whole government away, kicks it away. Supporters like a football team, their time is obviously past and do not form part of the political football team of the PNP today. And today meant 1979. Okay. If that were on the contrary, a person like Dr. Helen Liman will not have had the opportunity to lead the party today. Is that not why the PNP fielded only political fresh and new faces in the parliamentary elections? I think that's all about the party. Uh, you can see clearly, Rawlings staged a coup d'etat against the military government and said he was going to do house cleaning of the government and then hand over power to a civilian government. Because at that time, Ghanaians were fed up of military regimes. They were fed up, and he knows everybody was yearning to have a civilian government, and so he promised them he was going to do house cleaning and return power to the to a constitutional government, and that was what he did. All of a sudden, after 3 months, he came back like a madman, another coup, because Ghanaians sleep a lot, including the soldiers at the time. Nobody was taking care, nobody cared about what would happen afterwards, except one person who was uh, Imoro Igala. Imoro Igala saw that no, this man can come back. And so he was trailing him all of the time. He never gave him a minute. Anywhere Rollins went, he made sure that he knows his movement from daybreak to night. And it was a tug of war between Rollins and Hilary Man. Because Hilary Man, and Imuru Igala. Imuru Igala knew Rollins was planning to come back to topple the government again. But few elements in the PMP weren't seeing it. All they wanted was to give Liman headache. Like his assistant, Dr. DeGraff Johnson, Dr. DeGraff Johnson. He was never obedient to Hillary Man. In fact, it looks like he was the president at the time. You see? But then, the fellow who brought in Hillary Man to be president, because they needed new faces, like these people said in the party, who is Imori Igala, knew that Rawlings was going to stage another coup d'etat. All the rest didn't know. We shall continue later as we read the papers when we come to such matters, God willing. The rest of the story, yes, we have another story here. Blemisa hijacked. Blemisa hijacked. Blemisa, I can't, my memory fails me. I think he was a rich man or something. Either a rich man or party man. Okay, let's go on. Let's read on. Namshi. Two unidentified armed military personnel stormed their way to the police hospital in Accra last week and allegedly hijacked Dr. John Blemiza, who was undergoing medical treatment, to an undisclosed destination. This is just a tip of the iceberg of what Rawlings' government did. Seizing people by heart. Seizing people by heart. Okay, let me leave it. Let's finish the paper first. Then, Dr. Blemiza is reported to be suffering from a diabetic complication and was on admission at the police hospital from Nsawam prisons, where he is currently serving a jail term for bribery and corruption. So this means that actually miscreants in the party or in the country at that time were already being prosecuted and sent to court. And this is the picture of Dr. Blemiza, Dr. John Blemiza. It was a popular name at that time, or a famous name. This is his picture. By my forefinger. Somebody in the hospital receiving treatment, and you go and seize him, take him to an unknown disclosure. Sorry, sometimes I speak English anyhow. When you are aging, it happens. Let's see. Dr. Blemiza is reported to be suffering from a complication and admission at the hospital from Nsawam prisons, where he is currently serving jail term for bribery and corruption. From meant to an disclosed destination, unknown destination. That's the disclosure to unknown destination. I'm losing my head. Pardon me. Okay. Hospital authorities were tight-lipped on the issue, but very reliable sources intimate that Dr. Blemisa had been earmarked for a major operation 48 hours before the alleged hijacking. You can imagine somebody who was supposed to have an operation come and remove him forcefully. That's what the military can do, or the military did in those days. 48 hours before the alleged hijacking. Paragraph. The sources say that hospital authorities were not officially informed about the decision to forcefully remove Blemeza from the wards of the police hospital since laid down procedures were not simply complied with. So in other words, as military men, they didn't bother. They just entered with force, took a patient out of the hospital to an unknown destination. I think that is all. What cartoon is this? Invasion of the Law Citadel. Oh, I beg you. Hey, I put to you that I know thee for lawyer. Me, I be for the bump, not the bench. Yeah, you see this cartoon. That was when people were fleeing from Rollins and his government. Somebody says he's not a lawyer, he's not on, and I know, hey, I put to you that I know thee for lawyer. Me, I be for the boom, not the bench. So, they say members of the bench. He said he's not a lawyer, it's not because they were running away. Many professionals were running out of the country or ran out of the country, I tell you. Rollins' government, when it came, Rollins, there were two specific groups of people he hated most. One, intellectuals, because he was not well read, like I am here. Then two, rich people. He was very poor, and he envied rich people, even the army officers who struggled hard to get to that position. And so these two people, if you are rich, if you are an intellectual, no, he would not like you. So you can see this cartoon. Then, no, 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 no. This is another lawyer saying. So lawyers were running out. As for accountants, I don't say. Almost all the accountants in the country ran out, except those who were affiliated to Rollins or his people or his supporters. Yes. So that is it. So is it a corrupt military regime or not? Okay. Another person here is saying, oh, I beg you. That's why the ordinary people were saying they should kill them. Then another intellectual here is saying, oh, I beg you, I beg you, I beg you. You see? And here, who is here? Here, the students are coming. And students in the country supported Rollins. They were naive. They didn't know, especially university students. They thought he meant his word. He was only coming to do house cleaning and then hand over again. It never happened. Viewers, we shall end here. And next time we come, we'll go to the next page and see what is there for us. And then as for the atrocities Rollins and his men committed, they cannot all be mentioned here. They are too enormous, too numerous, and too enormous. So we end here to another time. Thank you very much. Illa likai. Bye-bye.